We're back with another episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This week our focus is on number 1, taking command of the Enterprise, but also the medical crew of the starship, as they deal with a contagion that ravages the starship. This episode works really well to nail that classical feel of Star Trek episodes, much like Star Trek Enterprise. The format of a crew dealing with some sort of medical crisis, or while the captain and second officer are stranded on the planet below, is very Trek in my opinion. Spoiler warning, we'll be discussing Star Trek Strange New Worlds in full detail. As such, you might want to come back later if you've not watched yet. You have been warned. Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack and let's get straight into it. Strange New Worlds Episode 3 is titled Ghosts of Illyria. It's written by both Michaela Cooper and Bill Wolfkolf, while being directed by Leslie Hope. Illyria is a reference to a previous Star Trek species that have been appearing in another series. We'll touch on these little details later on in this video review. But before we do get into the main review content for this video, we've got one thing to ask. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can of course follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. And like always, if you do have an opinion on today's video or the episode we're reviewing, leave it down below in the comment section, because if you're talking about Star Trek, then of course we want to hear about it. Okay, hit it. The third episode is still going strong for the series. Once again we're treated to the crisis of a week scenario, which is playing out rather well with Strange New Worlds right now. I'm personally loving the dynamic of the storytelling, coupled with the elements of the Star Trek universe that many of us are already familiar with. Now, this title may have been Ghosts of Illyria, but it wasn't just Una's past that was revealed, so let's take a look at some of these histories which can be found in the latest episode. First off, we have to touch on Una's secret, that she's not only an Illyrian, but also genetically engineered. Now you may start thinking, damn, Pike's ship has a lot of genetically engineered people, especially if Lan Noonien Singh is genetically engineered herself, which hasn't been outrightly stated just yet, but with the surname Noonien Singh, surely it's related somewhere. However, this idea of number 1 being an augment does have some basis in previous beta canon content centered around Una. In the beta canon content, number 1 was raised on Illyria, still a human, but raised on the planet. And Illyria did an experiment in genetic engineering, however not to the extent they do now in Strange New Worlds. Illyria just performed very selective breeding, in order to produce offspring of a greater mental and physical prowess. But obviously, we see in this episode that Una has been actively genetically engineered herself, not just through selective breeding, considering her powers. Her moment with Captain Pike was rather touching for me, both when they call each other by their first names in order to try and get their point across to each other. Pike rejecting her attempt at resigning with Starfleet is just Christopher Pike down to the core at this point. It really is what we've come to expect from him by now. It's clear to us that Pike carries no prejudice and regards Una as the best first officer in the fleet. I'm loving the fact that Pike trusts number 1 so much and believes her place is here on the Enterprise with him. It shows their relationship rather well and shows how far it is developed. The first episode also did a great job at this. They showed Pike struggling with taking command of the Enterprise again, but he did it knowing that number 1 was in danger. I'm really like to know more about their first days together on the Enterprise. Maybe they were both there while April was in charge and commanding the ship. Who knows, but it's worth exploring. Seeing number 1 take temporary command of the Enterprise was fantastic. I am hoping we do get to see more of that perhaps in the future. Maybe seeing number 1 take command during some sort of battle situation, now that would be fantastic considering her relationship with Lan, the tactical and security officer. It is interesting to note that the Illyrians are banned from joining a federation, due to them trying to reach perfection through genetic engineering, which is banned in the Federation due to humans' experiences with augments, most notably during the Eugenics Wars period of history. We have previously seen the Illyrians before by Star Trek Enterprise in the Delphic Expanse, where Archer robs an Illyrian ship of their warp coils. Mildly controversial. Now it didn't look like Una, i.e. having some facial ridges, but I can see via Lan's genetic engineering, changing her facial features as well is possible. Part of me does wonder if this episode will come back to haunt both Captain Pike and number 1. Haunting as in ghosts, if you get what I mean. No, but on a serious note, it is possible that Pike will face the repercussions of not coming forward with Una's confession to Starfleet. Then again, it does seem that Pike is winning favours with Admiral April and Starfleet Command right now, so perhaps this won't happen. The episode leaves open the door to explore both more of the Illyrians and number 1's backstory in more ways than one. Hopefully, that is something we can touch on in the later episodes, but perhaps the second season as well. Don't forget that if you enjoy discussions on Star Trek Strange New Worlds and more, but also want your questions answered live on stream, then tune to Trek Central's live show this Sunday at 2100 BST, 16100 ET and 13100 PT. We'll be live taking questions from you, talking about the latest episode, and what you can expect in the upcoming episodes for the Star Trek universe. Those times are on screen right now. We'll see you there. One standout element of this episode is that we get to spend both time with Captain Pike and Mr. Spock. They're stranded together on a planet thanks to the incoming Iron Storm, which is about to ravage the planet. What I really enjoyed about this is the dynamic between both the characters, such as Spock pointing out that a watch kettle never boils. I wonder if this is saying Spock picked up from his mother at a young age. Of course, the actual phrase that a watch pot never boils, or something like that. It would make me laugh even further if Spock made that reference to the old Vulcan proverb that he did say in Star Trek The Voyage Home, such as, only Nixon would go to China. I'm really enjoying the humour between both Pike and Spock, as it brings out more of their character dynamic that many of us have been wanting to see for quite a while now. We've also got the quote of the week in a sense, where Spock informs the captain that he's arming them with knowledge. Now we've still got the upcoming quote sometime soon of Hemmer saying the magic of science, so you know that's something to look forward to in terms of the best one-liners with Strange New World so far. Speaking of Hemmer, we do actually have to talk about him. I have to say it's really nice getting to know this character. Obviously the scene revealed in a promo for this episode, but Hemmer compensates for the Iron Storm interference and helps Chief Carl beam back the away team. And when asked how he did it, seems saying, "I'm a genius" is great. I really hope we get some Hemmer-centric episodes sometime soon, particularly an engineering episode, that would be rather cool. But talking of beaming through an Iron Storm is a nice little touch that Carl talks about the Iron Storm being too strong, and if someone is beamed through it, he's not sure what they'll get back. This is obviously in-universe Carl being worried about from the writers. A nice little nod to the original series where beaming through Iron Storms can accidentally beam you to the mirror universe. Yeah, let's not do that. The other interesting character history we learn about is Dr. Mbenga, and the fact he not only has a daughter that has a rare form of leukemia, which hasn't been cured by the 23rd century yet. It's a rather sad story, but also a somewhat cliche one. That being a father trying his best to protect his sick child. Now, this is why we have a medical transporter in Medbay, when we haven't seen one before on the TOS Enterprise. He is using the transporter to keep his daughter alive, suspended in time as he searches for a cure. Surely a pattern would degrade in the transporter, but I assume Mbenga somehow found a way to stop that from happening. Which is interesting. We will see how this continues throughout the season I presume, and maybe they'll find a cure one day. Mbenga says the best quote of the episode: "Prejudice has kept others from helping each other for centuries." This is a great line that sticks not only with the episode when coming to terms with number 1 being an Illyrian, but also connects with the real world right now. Imagine what would happen if everyone worked together to help each other. What a better place things would be. Once again, Star Trek's making a message to the real world as it always does. Watching this episode and getting to know Mbenga more does sort of show us that he's similar to Dr. McCoy a little bit. That in a sense of him saying he'll do whatever he wants, regulations and guidelines can be damned, if it means saving the crew of the Enterprise. Then again, I think most Starfleet doctors are like this when it comes to the famous ones we know from shows. There's always that one asshole. This episode also outright gives us a connection between La'an and Khan Noonien Singh, in the fact he is La'an's ancestor and is known. I'd have to look back at the Space Seed, as they did know Khan once his name was revealed, so maybe they just forgot. Overall, I would say this episode of Strange Worlds works really well. Not only do we get a fantastic Crisis of the Week plot episode, but also we get some fantastic character development. Both Mbenga and Number 1 have some of the best moments throughout the episode. We get to deal with the legacy species known as Valyrians via the Ghost in a sense, and that was just super cool. You really have to commend the writing on the series, both in the sense of character conversation and developments, and also in the plot as well. Predictable storylines are something I personally hate. I am glad to say only at the very end did I see the colonist storyline getting through. Una's storyline on the other hand is just a touching moment, especially her reflection at the end of the episode as she submits her first officer log for the day. Of course, she does delete the log entry, therefore no one will ever know what she mentioned in a log. Speaking of Una, it is fantastic to see that Strange New Worlds continues to draw from the deep history of the Star Trek universe, especially when it comes to informing its characters and their relationships. Now, modern Star Trek is touching on eugenics wars a lot at the moment. Both that the ideas of genetic engineering and modification have come up more than once. Star Trek Picard also dropped a hint of a connection to Adam Soong and Project Khan, which of course relates to both Khan Noonien Singh and La'an Noonien Singh. It does make you wonder if perhaps Paramount are testing the waters for the next potential series. I think the message of this episode really hammers home is about how we treat others. We should treat them all with empathy and respect, no matter the circumstances that come to be. It connects and reinforces the core message of Star Trek, that when we have to open new people and new experiences, we're able to inspire and push each other forward, essentially going where no one has gone before. Of course, we end the episode of everyone coming to terms with what's happened during a mission this week, as the Enterprise departs the planet and the mystery of the colonists is somewhat solved. Don't forget you can watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus right now, if you're located in the United States of America. Additionally, it should be on the platform by Friday for those in Latin America, the Nordics, and a few other places. You can see the full list of places to watch via trekcentre.net, so head over there. As a reminder, we will be live here on YouTube this Sunday, the times are on screen right now, and we hope to see most of you there. So, what do you think of the latest Star Trek Strange New Worlds episode? Personally, I totally loved it. The plot of this episode worked really well, coupled with our character development and the many plot threads that wind through the story. Remember, do let us know what you think in the comments below, because like always, if you're talking about Star Trek, then we want to hear about it. If you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack, thanks for watching and we'll see you very soon. Live long, prosper my friends, goodbye.